Every single Pro iPhone from the 14 to the 17 shoots at a fixed f1.78 aperture. One setting, every photo. The lens never moves. The iPhone 18 Pro Max changes that. And the component Apple is using costs 50% more than anything they've ever put in an iPhone camera before. That one number tells you something nobody's saying out loud about what's actually coming in September. And there's something else buried in the leak from this morning, and something about the main camera module specifically that reframes the entire "is it worth upgrading" conversation. We'll get there. This is everything we know and everything we can reasonably predict about the iPhone 18 Pro Max ahead of its September 2026 launch. I've gone through every credible leak, every supply chain report, Bloomberg, Ming-Chi Kuo, the Weibo sources, all of it. I'm going to tell you what's confirmed, what's credible, and what's still noise, because the internet right now is one giant rumor salad, and you deserve better than that. Let's start with the one thing that changes everything. Every camera has an aperture, the opening that lets light into the sensor. On every iPhone ever made, that opening is fixed. It doesn't move, it doesn't adjust. The software does its best to compensate. And honestly, Apple's computational photography has been doing a heroic job covering for that limitation for years. But it is a limitation. Apple has never implemented a variable aperture on an iPhone. From the iPhone 14 Pro through the iPhone 17 Pro, the main camera uses a fixed f1.78 aperture, meaning the lens remains fully open at all times when capturing images. Now that's about to change. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is expected to get a variable aperture 48 megapixel main lens, a first for any iPhone. Here's what that actually means for you. This feature is expected to enable greater control over the depth of field in your photos. You can have a shallow depth of field when you want to isolate the subject from the background, a medium depth of field when you want isolation, while ensuring the background is still recognizable, or a deep depth of field when you want everything in shot to be in focus. Think of it like this. Your eye does this automatically. Bright room, your pupil shrinks. Dark room, it opens wide. Your iPhone's camera has been walking around with one fixed pupil size since 2022. That ends in September. Now, is this confirmed? Apple's supply chain is reportedly preparing parts and module production for an iPhone camera the company has never built before. Sunny Optical has started producing actuators for a variable aperture mechanism, while LG Innotek is preparing full module assembly at its Gumi facility in South Korea ahead of its normal schedule, specifically because the new mechanism raises defect risk. Named suppliers, specific facilities, adjusted production schedules. This isn't a leaker guessing. This is the supply chain moving. And here's where it gets interesting. According to the latest supply chain info, this new moving optic system carries an average selling price 50% higher than the high-end 7P primary camera lens currently found in the iPhone 17 Pro lineup. 50%. Apple is paying 50% more per camera module. And according to analysts, in a departure from its usual premium pricing playbook, Apple appears willing to cut its profit margins on the iPhone 18 Pro to aggressively capture market share from high-end Android competitors. So Apple's eating the cost. You get the camera, that's actually wild. Oh, and that leak from this morning, the Weibo leaker Fixed Focus Digital says the iPhone 18 Pro line's main camera upgrade is confirmed and results in a more than 2mm increase in the aluminum alloy back panel. In a follow-up post, the leaker says it's due to an enlarged main camera module, meaning iPhone 18 Pro's main camera will have much larger internal components than iPhone 17 Pro's camera. The camera is physically getting bigger, which means the camera bump is getting bigger, which I know some of you are already annoyed about. But there's a reason for it, and that reason is actually the most important camera story of the year. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman has said iPhone 18 Pro will offer some of the biggest camera hardware upgrades in the lineup's history. He doesn't say that about everything. The A20 Pro chip, built on TSMC's 2 nanometer process. This is Apple's first 2 nanometer mobile chip ever. Now, I know nanometers sounds like a spec sheet flex and nothing else, so let me translate. This upgrade means the iPhone 18 Pro will be roughly 15% faster while using 30% less power. 15% faster and 30% more efficient. That's not incremental. That's the kind of gap where your current phone starts feeling slow, not because it got slower, but because everything around it moved. The efficiency gain is where this really matters. Variable aperture on the main 48 megapixel camera lets the lens physically adjust how much light reaches the sensor, giving you more control over exposure in bright outdoor conditions and more depth of field flexibility in portraits. But that kind of mechanical system needs power to drive it. The A20 Pro's efficiency gains are what make a battery draining camera system like this actually sustainable in daily use. The chip and the camera are engineered together. That's not a coincidence. A major highlight is the shift to Apple's in-house C2 modem, the second generation custom 5G modem. This should deliver better network stability, stronger signals, faster speeds, and reduced battery drain on 5G, less battery drain on 5G. Anyone who's ever been at a concert, an airport, or any crowded place and watched their iPhone die at 2 p.m., this is for you. The battery is expected to land between 5,100 and 5,200 milliamp hours, the largest ever in an iPhone. For context, the iPhone 17 Pro Max comes with a 4,252 milliamp hour battery. That's nearly a 1,000 milliamp hour jump in one generation. Now, bigger battery plus more efficient chip equals the two things you need to actually change how long a phone lasts. Not just marginally longer, genuinely different. It's the secret sauce behind the rumored 2-day battery life. 2 days on an iPhone, I'll believe it when I test it, but the math is at least pointing in that direction for the first time. Here's the catch, and there is a catch. Total thickness, including the camera bump, reportedly rises from 12.92 millimeters to 13.77 millimeters. Body thickness, excluding the bump, increases from 11.23 millimeters to 11.54 millimeters. The device is also rumored to weigh roughly 240 grams, and about 7 grams more than the current Pro Max. It's heavier, it's thicker. That's the trade, and honestly, for a bigger battery and a genuinely new camera system, that's a trade I'd make. The iPhone 18 Pro models are expected to feature the same general design as the iPhone 17 Pro models, offering a triple lens rear camera system with a large camera plateau. No dramatic redesign. If you were hoping for a completely new look, it's not happening this year. What is changing? Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reported in February 2026 that the dynamic island will be noticeably smaller, with Face ID components moving partially under the display. Full under-display Face ID has been pushed to a future generation, but the result is still a cleaner, more screen-forward look. Smaller dynamic island, more screen. Although, I have to be honest with you, there's a conflicting report here. Chinese leaker Digital Chat Station claims the iPhone 18 Pro won't have a smaller dynamic island at all, with the slimmed-down dynamic island delayed until the iPhone 19. So, conflicting information from credible sources. Welcome to iPhone rumor season. My read, the Gurman report carries more weight, but this one is genuinely uncertain. Colors, multiple rumors suggest Apple is testing a deep red finish for the iPhone 18 Pro models. According to Macworld, the red shade may be more of a dark cherry color with a tinge of purple in it rather than a darker red shade. Apple could sell the dark cherry color alongside light blue, dark gray, and silver. Dark cherry, that's the one. This deep wine-like red shade will replace the cosmic orange from the iPhone 17 Pro. And honestly, good. Cosmic Orange was a choice. Display specs 6.9-inch LTPO-OLED 120Hz ProMotion up to 3200 nits brightness. At 3200 nits, this display will be readable in direct afternoon sunlight, and something budget and mid-range phones still struggle with. The hardware is only half the story because the iPhone 18 Pro Max launches with iOS 27 out of the box. And iOS 27 is actually different this time. The new OS brings a system-wide customization slider for the liquid glass look and the new long-awaited context-aware Siri, which will now be called Siri AI. Apple announced Siri AI during WWDC 2026. The digital assistant is getting an upgrade with Apple Intelligence and Gemini and will finally gain the promised context awareness and the ability to operate within apps. Context-aware Siri that actually operates within apps. The Siri that was promised in 2024, the one that was supposed to read your screen and take actions, it's apparently here now, and it connects directly to the camera. Apple is said to give users more choice to arrange the camera app's toggles, while Siri might become a permanent option within the camera app, allowing the use of visual intelligence directly from the camera. So you point your phone at something, Siri AI identifies it, gives you context, and takes action, all from the camera app. That's actually useful. That's the kind of feature where 6 months after you buy the phone, you can't imagine not having it. This is the part that a lot of people are going to find annoying, and I think Apple knows that. For the first time, Apple is splitting its fall launch. The standard iPhone 18 and the budget-friendly iPhone 18e are being pushed to spring 2027. That means if you want a new iPhone this fall, you're choosing between the iPhone 18 Pro, the iPhone 18 Pro Max, the new iPhone 18 Air, or the rumored iPhone Fold, all of which start at $999 or more. No budget option, no middle ground. Fall 2026 is a premium-only iPhone season. That's a calculated move. And if you're someone who was going to buy the standard iPhone 18 this year, Apple just told you to wait until spring or spend more. On price, here's the somewhat surprising news. Analysts Ming-Chi Kuo and Jeff Pu both expect Apple to hold iPhone 18 Pro Max pricing steady at $1,199 for the base 256 gigabyte model in the US, matching the iPhone 17 Pro Max. The A20 Pro chip costs more to produce, but Apple appears to be absorbing that internally rather than passing it to buyers, at least for the base model, $1,199, same as last year, with a camera that costs 50% more to build. That's actually notable. Higher capacity models such as 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte versions could see more noticeable price increases. So if you always go for the big storage, budget accordingly. Okay, here's where I land. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is the first iPhone in years where the camera story is genuinely new, not just better processing or improved algorithms. Apple has never implemented a variable aperture on an iPhone. That changes in September. And when a company that's been doing the same thing for 4 consecutive generations finally changes a core piece of hardware, especially at a cost 50% higher than anything they've done before, that's worth paying attention to. Who should definitely buy this? If you're currently on an iPhone 14 Pro or older, the iPhone 18 Pro Max upgrade math works heavily in your favor. The camera, chip, and battery improvements will feel transformational, not incremental. If you're on an iPhone 17 Pro Max, honestly, you're fine. Wait, unless the variable aperture camera is the thing you've been wishing for, and if you know what that means, you already know who you are. One last thing. Samsung shipped variable aperture on the Galaxy S9 and S10 back in 2018 and 2019. They dropped it in 2020. McRumors noted the reasons were increased device thickness and high production costs. They tried it, it got expensive, they quit. Apple is betting they can do it better in a thicker package, yes, but with a 2 nanometer chip running it and at the same base price. If they pull it off, this might genuinely be the most important iPhone camera since the iPhone 4. And if they don't, well, at least the battery's good. I'll see you in September.